Biden and Harris, God forbid, are elected. Take a look. If Joe Biden wins, he has the strength and stamina and mental alertness to do the job. If he implements the extreme agenda that he's now embracing, let me be clear, America as you know it, we know it, will be destroyed. Our entire way of life will be flushed down the drain. If the issue of law and order, security and safety, if that matters to you and to your family, if free market capitalism matters to you and your family, if our Constitution, the rule of law, matters to you, here's what you need to know. In 112 days, you are the ultimate jury. Joe Biden doesn't, well, really have any original ideas. He never has. He's been in the swamp 50 plus years. It's 50 years of elect me and I'll do this. I'll do this. As the president says, all talk, 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 no action. Schumer, Pelosi, and Biden alone, 125 combined years of elect me, and I'll promise this, this, and this. Nothing but 125 years of meaningless promises and unmitigated failure. Oh, and on Biden's part, lots of plagiarism. Remember, he was accused of plagiarizing a paper in law school. In the 1980s, many of his speeches were plagiarized. He was accused of plagiarizing Robert Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, British MP Neil Kinnock. We played that for you last week. And the scary part is Biden has now taken his cues from the most radical, the most extreme socialist extremist that this party has ever embraced, the Democratic Modern Socialist Party. Look at the corrupt, forgetful Joe Biden team. You got Biden, Schumer, Pelosi. That's 125 years of, well, failure alone. Now add to that Bernie Sanders, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Beto Bozo O'Rourke, gun czar. His latest policy proposals were literally authored by the devout socialist Bernie Sanders. And Joe even plagiarized Bernie's agenda, literally in many instances, word for word, right out of Bolshevik Bernie's socialist platform. Now, keep in mind, Bernie wants the government to control all means of production. He wants to nationalize industry like they did in Venezuela and Cuba. He's praised those regimes. And by the way, honeymoon in the former Soviet Union. Meanwhile, socialist Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, she's in charge of Biden's climate task force. And she wants to ban oil, gas, coal, air travel, and eventually even cows. Says we have 12 years and it's all over. Her Green New Deal will cost $94 trillion over 10 years. That will turn America into a socialist bankrupt hellhole. And then, of course, there's Biden's gun control czar, Beto Bozo O'Rourke, whose top priority is to literally take your guns away. This is what's at stake in 112 days. Take a look.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
I'm going to guarantee you this is not the last year seeing of this guy. You're going to take care of the gun problem with me.
Okay, to recap, Biden has tapped Bolshevik Bernie. He's even plagiarizing him to lead his economic policies. AOC will lead the Green New Deal Climate Task Force. Beto Bozo, he's coming for your guns. And by the way, he also has Schumer and Pelosi in Congress. This is his team right there. And add Beto and add AOC. They win, and you can start singing Bye Bye Miss American Pie. It's over. What's next? Is he going to now tap, let's see, the ever incompetent Cuomo to what? Lead his coronavirus task force? Is he going to tap Comrade de Blasio, mayor of New York, as his law and order czar? After all, just last week, Biden, in his own words, he agreed that, yes, funds should be diverted away from the police. In other words, he's embraced the defund the police movement. He's the guy that said last week, police have now become the enemy. In New York City, Comrade de Blasio already slashed the NYPD budget by $1 billion. He's disbanded the Undercover, the most effective anti-crime unit in the city. He's banned all stop and frisk. While New York Governor Cuomo, well, he's the genius that let thousands of violent criminals out of jail every single time with this idiotic $0 bail policy. And as a result, what are we seeing? Shootings in New York City and New York State, they have more than doubled over the last year. On Monday, at least 17 people shot. That includes 3 drive-by shootings. At one point over the weekend, there was a shooting every single hour. And last night, we brought you Lawrence Jones's heart-wrenching interview with the family of that 1-year-old baby boy who was shot and killed. He was in a stroller. He was in a playground in Brooklyn. Now, this violence is unacceptable. It comes as police all over the country are now under attack. Since May, 12 police officers have now been killed in the line of duty. 2 were murdered over the weekend in Texas while responding to a domestic disturbance call. Over 1,000 other police officers seriously injured, rocks and bottles and bricks and Molotov cocktails, knives and guns being used against them. The chaos, the carnage in America's big liberal cities, it's out of control. And by the way, if you want a preview of coming attractions, that will be America with Biden, Pelosi, AOC, Schumer, and Beto. That's your choice. We can't make it any more clear. You are the ultimate jury. So do you want in 112 days law and order to be restored, or do you want it to get worse? Because Biden wants to defund the police and abolish cash bail, just like they did in New York. He's come a long way from calling people predators and, saying other incendiary things on racial issues, like he didn't want his kids in a racial jungle if we're talking about integration. He used those words. Like I said at the top, this has now become the single biggest, greatest choice election in our lifetime on every single important issue that will impact your kids, your life, and your grandkids. You want Biden's plans for open borders, for amnesty, the United Sanctuary States of America. The minute you get into America, you get absolutely free health care, free schools for every illegal immigrant, and amnesty. 400 miles of border wall will be built by Election Day. You get to decide. Do you want Biden's tax increases that he is promising? Or do you prefer lower taxes that Donald Trump is promising? Do you want Biden's Green New Deal madness or President Trump? Let's see. He's made this country energy independent for the first time in over 75 years, and he's also made it for the first time in 75 years. We are now the world's #1 producer of energy. Do you want that, or do you want to ban coal and fracking and oil production? Do you want Biden's activist judges legislating for the bench? Do you want to stack the courts like, Democrats have been talking about? Or do you prefer constitutionalists, those that believe that as the fundamental rule of law for the United States of America? Do you want socialized health care? Do you want to keep your private health care? How did Obamacare, Biden-care work out for you? Do you want Hunter Biden making sketchy billion-dollar deals with the Bank of China, lining his own pockets, or do you want a president who will actually stand up to China as this president did earlier today? You want zero experience Hunter making millions more in Ukraine. Quid pro quo Joe, zero experience Hunter. It worked out perfectly, didn't it? As President Trump said today, there's never been a time when 2 candidates were so different. Let's watch the president.